So, the Eurofighter Typhoon is what will tide Britain over until the arrival of Tempest. It's been heavily upgraded, modified for the modern age of combat, and yet there is a certain American friend of mine, who will, of course, remain nameless, who insists, he's incredibly persistent in this, that the F-35 is absolutely superior to the Typhoon, and that the Typhoon is effectively obsolete, that it's useless, particularly when compared with the F-35. Now, first off, the UK has naval strike F-35s, but beyond this, there's something that my American friend ignores, and it's perhaps more unique to the UK. So here is perhaps a case of, or a case for, the Typhoon, why it's not obsolete, why I think it's actually rather impressive. I'm not going to be pitting the two planes, the F-35 and the Typhoon, against each other, but suffice it to say that the F-35 is more designed for stealth and ground strike. The Typhoon's long-range weapon systems, and in a dogfight as well, the Eurofighter is ridiculously manoeuvrable. Beyond that, we still employ Generation 4.5 strike fighters, and this is pretty similar to the US. The US still uses the F-18. So I have my own opinion on the subject. I think Typhoon's pretty good. Anyway, to get on with this, Typhoon is, as I said, a Generation 4.5 fighter. It's a strike fighter, that's its functional role, meaning that it's designed and really capable at two broad main mission areas. Air-to-ground warfare, the first, the strike, and air-to-air warfare, the fighter. So I'll start off with air-to-air warfare. The Typhoon is obviously incredibly capable. It's got, excuse my blocked nose, an incredible delta wing formation which gives it 30-degree instantaneous turn rate, and that makes it, incredibly manoeuvrable. The use of 2 guided bombs, 6 B-rams, that's the Meteor missile, and 2 S-rams, along with, which is a short-range air-to-air missile, along with the Mauser cannon and the 3,000-litre fuel tanks, which are wing-equipped. It's potent in air-to-air combat. Secondarily for this second role, the strike for ground strike, or at least what one refers to as close air support, it can obviously operate 18 spears, Spear 3s, which is a lot. 2 S-rams, the short air-to-air missiles, and its Mauser, of course. It can always operate the Mauser, along with an additional 1,000-litre fuel tank. The Eurofighter Typhoon is ideally suited to close air support roles, as it can remain on task for basically long periods of time. It's got flexible weapon loads, it's got the paveway for Brimstone, various air-to-surface precision attack weapons. It's got superior and sophisticated sensor suites, data link, laser designator pod, and it allows a lot of coordination actually, and that's what a lot of the recent upgrades have been about, a lot of coordination with other air units and ground commanders. The identification of individual targets, high manoeuvrability, means that it can carry out these complex operations over the battlefield without basically getting shot down. Now, that is what Eurofighter says. Eurofighter very much emphasises that, and I would agree, the strike fighter role, that the Typhoon is adept at strike missions and fighting, effectively, air-to-air superiority. But there are 2 real roles I want to focus on, that the light isn't so much shone upon, usually, for the Typhoon, and the first of those is flexibility. Flexibility for the Typhoon is really essential. Excuse me. The Typhoon can operate numerous weapon systems due to the enormous number of hardpoints it has on those massive delta wings. So I counted, I believe, 15 variable hardpoints, and you can equip differing types of munitions of different sizes, variable ordnance, fuel tank, the Meteor, the B-ram, which is incredibly potent, Spear 3, all sorts of weaponry. Now obviously it's sort of emphasised that Eurofighter has a pretty well established swing roll function, and that it is really largely configurable, matching with the last sort of 30 years we've seen of innovation. Something that I think is perhaps not so much appreciated, despite Typhoon's stated partial purpose of interdiction, is interception. So if you haven't seen it, I would really recommend it. There's a video on the RAF's quick response to threat, which is effectively, as it were, scrambling the Typhoons. It doesn't take a genius to figure out where I'm going with this. Geographically speaking, to defend ourselves, the UK is an island, meaning interception is hugely important, and the Battle of Britain really proved that. It emphasises that. People have to invade via sea or air, and a Typhoon going Mach 2 does very well at intercepting those sort of threats. So for interception, the Typhoon has the Meteor, the BRAAM, BRAAM, and that really comes in as the sort of well-set infrastructure that facilitates a high degree of forward knowledge. The incredible infrastructure for comms, for sensors, that's been integrated in various upgrade packages, and that's been a lot of what the upgrade packages for Typhoon have been focusing on, and they've really been continually rolling out since its conception. Typhoon's ability to find targets beyond visual range makes Eurofighter a brilliant interceptor. Its manoeuvrability, countermeasures systems make it brilliant at avoiding anything that tries to preemptively intercept it before it can intercept them. And of course, it's brilliant in air-to-air combat anyway. Really, really effective, really adept, really potent. This does actually translate to something that's more versatile, more useful in conflict overall. The ability to have air superiority at range. The ability to sort of properly protect militarily defended areas, I guess. It's incredible military defence, and the Eurofighter can effectively create this sort of air sphere envelope because of its incredible interception ability. And I think that's really, actually hugely underestimated and underappreciated. So strategically, in attack, interception is hugely important because you've got to actually deal with the threats in the air. You've got to deal with things before you can sort of mount larger attacks. It means that one can defend and think as strategically as possible because one doesn't have to worry so much about getting attacked directly because there is effectively a barrier that is the Eurofighter's range. That means that their interception provides a basis for attack, and that's hugely important actually. So I think that's rather important. What we also see is that this extensive range, whether it's using the Meteor, whatever it is, it's hugely useful in really any air-to-air situation. You can sort of really say it actually provides a similar defensive capability, despite the fact it's got incredible stealth itself. It provides similar defensive capability to the 5th generation fighters. They go along slightly different lines, but the idea is effectively the same. If your enemy can't strike you, whether that's due to stealth capability or extensive range, and you can strike them, as we sort of did in the Falklands with shelling the islands effectively. I think the Argentinians had a 9-kilometre range and we had a 12-kilometre range. It's a similar sort of ethos. If you can strike them and they can't strike you, then you're effectively winning. You make a strike that counts, and the Typhoon can clearly do that through its really versatile setup, its incredible arsenal, incredible air-to-ground weapon systems, which actually have more so standoff capability now that we have Spear 3. Munitions with incredible marking ability for ground units, with incredible synergy with other units, naval units, land units. Then you're doing really well in a conflict. And the system itself is hugely potent, not just for the system itself, not only for its own power, but for its ability to identify targets for other units. So, on Typhoon, just to name a few things, you've got the Praetorian defensive system just generally, really technologically advanced DASS, high level of CFD in the manoeuvrable delta airframe, which gives it high stealth ability, the pirate infrared sensors, Captor M, Captor E, the laser designated pod, all stuff that's actually incredibly advanced and continues to get updated with the most modern technology. And this technology perfectly complements the teeth of the aircraft, the BRAM, for example, the Meteor missile that provides standoff capability. Spear 3, well, I guess it's not really standoff capability for the Meteor missile, but standoff capability within the air sphere. Spear 3, which actually provides standoff capability, Storm Shadow, which again provides penetrative power and standoff capability. All of these use incredible precision, incredible maneuverability, incredible penetrative power, and it makes them all incredibly potent and brilliant complements to the system itself, considering the system is just hugely integrated with other units. It has brilliant technology on board that means it can strike at longer ranges, and it just is generally sort of synergized, as it were. So I think generally what I'm trying to get at here is that one doesn't have to be stealthy, up close and personal, sort of assassin-like, to be impactful or good at the specific role. I mean, it depends what you're after, but I can't remember who said it, but it's better to be a sniper than an assassin. You're safer. Something along those lines. So whether used in air-to-air combat, in a swing roll, ground strike, close air support that is, or interdiction, interception, the Typhoon, in my view, is massively underappreciated, and it should be far more appreciated as the advanced fighter jet that it is, as the advanced interception strike fighter that it is. So, while it's discarded in many people's view as old technology, the only real 4.5 generation fighter, I disagree with those people discarding it. With its upgrades, residual capabilities, incredible arsenal, sort of complete with the best, most up-to-date systems, which give it incredible ability for long range. And yes, I have said incredible a lot. I do have a tendency to do that rather a lot. Repeat words. I think it will only continue to get better, and I think it will tide us over until Tempest comes into service. And I really do think that its capability to operate at these long ranges, using the Meteor missile, using incredible sensors, and I've said incredible again, because it is incredible. The systems on board really do make the system up to date, brilliant for the modern age, brilliant in air-to-air superiority roles, brilliant in air-to-ground roles, brilliant in interceptive or interdictive roles, and ridiculously versatile. So I think that's probably all I'd have to say. Consider the Typhoon a little bit more. The F-35 is brilliant, but the Typhoon's pretty great as well.